Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. I'm your host, Shelly Brown, and I have with me today my co-host, Bret Moore, who's also the editor of the GreeneScene magazine.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, how you doing, Bret?
Oh, not bad. Trying to get through this time of the year where there's no sports on after football season.
Oh, boy. Yeah, he's going to cry a little
Trying to find something to watch on television that's not the NBA. 'Cause
I knew that was coming. I just knew that was coming. Well, you got.
I do have the Penguins.
You got the Penguins, yeah.
I do have the Penguins, and we can sit around and wait for baseball, I guess. It'd be nice if we had a professional baseball team in Pittsburgh. That would make it even better.
I guess it would. I don't know. Maybe on this note, I need to change topics here.
Yeah, no. let's change topics.
You know what, folks? We are very honored to have with us today Chris Clark, who is going to talk to us about some veteran programs that we have available to our communities here in Greene County. Chris is Sergeant Major U.S. Army retired and very involved with our veteran community here. And Chris, I want to welcome you.
Thanks. It's nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Very, very glad you're here. And we'd like to hear, just to let our listeners know, tell us a little bit about your own background, who you are, why you are where you are, and where you came from, and why you're involved in this.
Yeah, I'm a local Greene County resident, raised in the West Greene part.
That's another yay.
I was so good at school that apparently I needed to do it in two districts. I did it in West Greene, and then my dad thought he'd bring me in here and maybe turn me around in Waynesburg. That didn't work out. I went back to West Greene and graduated from there. I thought I was going to race motocross for a living. It didn't pan out. So I didn't really need to worry a whole lot about grades and those kind of things. But in that time, 17 years old, junior at Waynesburg Central High School, I ended up walking into the National Guard Armory when it was on Washington Street, and I was 16 at the time. I actually ended up turning 17 at the enlistment station whenever I took the exam, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and the physical. So I turned 17 there and went to basic training in between my junior and senior year of high school.
No kidding.
Came back, went back to West Greene, graduated barely graduated from there. My grandmother was a retired teacher from there, so I'm sure that
she cringed.
Yeah, she's. But I finally managed to get a college degree in February of last year. Finally finished that up. So hopefully,
congratulations!
Thanks. Hopefully she's happy somewhere with that. So that led into at that point when motocross had kind of gone by the wayside, I figured I was going to do something very Miami Vice-like or very Army-like. I wasn't sure which way it was going to go yet. Worked a little bit as a deputy sheriff here at Greene County while I was a National Guard member. Worked at the county jail, went to work for the state, working in the prison system, and then I was like, all right, that's enough. I had the opportunity to go on a full-time tour as a National Guard soldier, and that ended up turning into another 20-some years of full-time National Guard work. And I got to go places and do things that I still sometimes can't believe I got to do. The fact that I've stood under the cross scimitars in Baghdad. I've been to Cologne. I've been to the Church of the Black Madonna in Kosovo, where Mother Teresa got her calling. Been to Mother Teresa's home in Macedonia.
How cool.
I mean, just, really had a terrific experience in the military, made terrific friends, learned a lot, and it was an environment that I was able to thrive in, and it gave me a way to support my family that for a kid from Greene County who didn't go to college, it turned out being a pretty good ride for me.
And a ride, yeah, good.
So yeah, I was very lucky in that way. That ended up rolling into some promotions, and eventually went as far as I could go. And I decided at some point around 2019 that it was time to retire. And I retired on April Fool's Day in 2020, just in time for COVID. And I thought that's exactly how my career should come to an end, actually. I thought I should be a retiree there. So I kicked around a little bit. A lot of us get out of the Army and we don't know what we're going to do when we have to grow up and work for a living. So I ended up still working with Army soldiers, still doing some training as a contractor for National Guard Bureau, traveling around the country. I'd done enough of that and been away from the family enough that I wanted to be around home a little bit more, and I got a job working for the federal VA. Did that for about a year. It really sounds like I can't hold down a job, is what it's going to sound like. But I did that for a little bit more than a year, got some experience with that, and then I had an opportunity to go to work for the Commonwealth in the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs as a veteran service officer, veteran service specialist there. So that organization also oversees the National Guard.
Okay.
So it was like very much like the prodigal son coming home, right?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
So, all right, he can't make it out there on his own. We'll bring him back.
We'll bring him back
in.
here.
Yeah.
We'll take him back.
So aside from that, I'm blessed to have a wife who put up with all of this. We were married pre-September 11th. Within
Scary
the first year
times.
of our marriage,
Yeah.
that happened, and it changed the trajectory of not only my career, but tens of thousands of National Guard soldiers' careers, because that we went suddenly from being an operational or a strategic reserve like we were in the days of the Cold War to now we're an operational force.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, I'm in the Anbar province of Iraq with a bunch of guys from Waynesburg and Pennsylvania and Texas and all over the place, kicking in doors in Baghdad.
Yeah.
So wow, what a ride, So that's been a fun ride. There's been a lot of cool stuff that I've got to see. My wife and my kid have had to put up with a lot of that, and thank goodness that they did through those deployments. And other than that, we have 5 dogs, and I really just want to be the person they think I am.
Yes, I understand that.
I think they probably think I'm better than I am.
Yeah.
I don't
Well-
know if I gave you enough to work with there, but
Of course you did. Now, what we really want to hear now, though, is about we're involved, and I know that Direct Results is somewhat involved or supportive of the Together with Veterans organization that we do have a group of here in Greene County, and you're quite involved with that, right?
yeah.
And so I want people we want to talk about that and what it is. You recently wrote an article, came out in the last GreeneScene magazine.
Right.
And it was interesting to kind of explain what that organization does and why it does it. And I thought we could share that information with our listeners.
Yeah,
Like, how did it get started?
Well, the way that I got started with that, I don't know how far I can track it back through its actual inception, but the inception here in Greene County.
Okay, yeah.
I'll talk specifically about that. I had a friend, Kathy Sipsick was the former director of the county's Office of Veterans Affairs. Kathy and I had a relationship from me being one of the full-time unit support people here. And as we talked about with September 11th, we started deploying a lot of people. And those people were coming back, and some of them were needing to see the VA. So I had a relationship with Kathy. And Mike Belding, also another veteran, former county commissioner, Mike was involved with this program. I think he might have been the first one who got wind of it, if I'm not mistaken. He brought the Office of Veterans Affairs in on it. And then Kathy knew that I had just retired and thought, boy, I've got something that
I
he
got
might
somebody
be able
I
to
can
do.
use, huh?
Yeah. So she asked, right? She asked me, and I said yes. And I think I emphasize that because I think it's important that sometimes when we have these volunteer organizations like this, we always hear how hard it is to get help in these volunteer. Sometimes we just have to go ask, right?
You got to ask. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if Kathy would not have asked me to be involved in this, I don't know if I would be.
Right.
So the reason that I don't know if I'd be involved in it is because of the topic, right? Like the topic specifically focuses in on suicide prevention in the veteran community, in the rural community specifically, because of the lack of resources that we have in the area. And there is a known, the number shifts annually, and whatever it is too much, but the number of veteran suicides a day shifts from 17 a day to 22 a day, and it is significantly higher than the number of suicides outside of the veteran community. At one point, we said a lot about 22 a day. We finally, as an organization, came to a place where we said one is one too many. That's the new
right.
slogan.
Yeah.
So for us, that was the new slogan that we took on as a community, that one was one too many. And you know, do we see a lot of that kind of problem here in Greene County? Veteran suicide? It's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know if those thoughts are. We don't get to know a lot of that, right? Because a lot of those things are dark thoughts that people hold
And they don't.
inside.
They don't. Yeah, you're right.
So, I think it's a fair assumption that since we have per capita the highest concentration of veterans in the entire state.
We
right
do?
here, per capita, right.
Yeah.
So otherwise, Allegheny County has the most across the board.
Right, but per capita, yeah.
Yep.
So
So we have a very high concentration of veterans
In Greene
in
County.
Greene County. And I've been touched by this in my own life where I've lost not only friends to suicide before I joined the Army, some childhood friends that died by suicide, but I also had service buddies died by suicide. We weren't back, my goodness, I don't think we'd been back 2 weeks from Iraq, and we were in Annapolis, Maryland, and I got a cell phone call that one of the guys that had just come home with us from Iraq was dead by suicide.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's very frustrating as a leader, and that's what I'll speak of because that's what my experience was in that war. I was in a leadership role. It's very frustrating as a leader to bring fellows home from those kind of events, only to lose them to suicide back here.
it is, and the story you just told about, he comes home, and that's when it happened. In your story in the GreeneScene magazine, you quoted some statistics about the years 2005 and 2006. That I'm just going to read this little snip.
Thank you. That way I don't have to remember it.
The U.S. military suffered approximately 1,600 combat deaths in operations supporting the global war on terrorism. And during those same 2 years, the BA reported that nearly 11,600 veterans died by suicide at home.
Right.
It's 7 times what was lost in battle during that period of time.
Right. That's a point that I make a lot now. Whenever I go to give a presentation, I'm involved with the county's Office of Mental Health. Asked me to come and give some a little bit of a briefing on veteran issues during their crisis intervention training.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'll bring up. I'll put the statistics up in my slide on the board and show the amount of combat casualties that we had in Iraq in 2005, 2006 when I was there, and it's dwarfed by the amount of suicides. We know that it's a problem. We saw it. We saw it continuing to climb as we were bringing soldiers home from the war. You had multiple. I'll just talk about my experience. I had kids in this unit out here at Waynesburg who had signed up at a time where they were joining to go to college and do the Army thing 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. And the next thing you know, they were deployed to Kosovo in 2003 to 2004. They came home from there. I took some of them to Iraq 2005, January of 05 to July of 06, 18 months. Came home, and then they got pulled again for another deployment in Iraq in 08 or Afghanistan in 09.
Yeah.
Those kids haven't had a chance to do any kind of the things that they thought they were going to do whenever they came into this. Now, granted, September 11th changed that for a lot of us, right?
Right.
But, that constant cycle of being put into that environment and being pulled back out of it, it takes its toll on people. We see it. I don't talk about it a lot because I've worked with some of those guys, but I wasn't part of them. Special Operation Forces, just, the amount of churn that they have from going into and out of combat zones. We saw that coming home in places like Fort Bragg, where you had homicides and suicides. And, there's some terrific books out there from guys in the special operations world who dealt with that. I encourage, we usually try to share some of those books with our Together with Veterans crowd so that it helps normalize some of it, right? They realize they're not going through it themselves. And if these supermen and superwomen who are in special operations can get affected by that, any of the rest of it, like I always say that I was regular forces. I was not special anything.
Not special anything.
Regular forces. But I also think that idea of being regular forces gives a better look at what the average soldier deals with.
And that's what this is all about.
It is.
So that they don't feel like they're the only one
Right.
who's having the feelings
Right.
that they have.
Right, because when we come back to this environment, there's a good book, and I won't come up with the author right now, but it talks very much about how in a grocery store, it almost took this for me. In a grocery store, you have 100 people. One of those people in there, one of them is a veteran. So 1%. So now the reason that clicked for me is because I've been a little bit more open about my own journey in this. Recently, I explained to Sherry my wife, what happens to me whenever we're going down the road and things happen with vehicles. Things get a little bit too close with me, and it becomes very familiar of how things would be set up in Iraq for an ambush. And when those things start happening, my brain starts processing what it's going to do, even though I know that I'm in between Rough Creek and Waynesburg.
Yeah.
And even though I know that it's a Toyota with an Ohio tag, I say Ohio because they're all bad drivers, but
Couldn't agree more.
take care of that in post if you need to. But what happens for me is that because PTSD's broken some of the fight or flight process
In your mind.
my mind's going through that. So I bring that up because that's what the person in the grocery store, that one person in the grocery store that's a veteran, that might be what they're doing. I'll tell people when I go in to do presentations at crisis intervention training, like when I walk in here, I'm pretty sure that half of you want to kill me, and I'm not sure which half it is because it always changes. But that's because the flight or fight response is kind of stuck in a doom loop,
yeah,
right?
it's there.
It's doom scrolling all the time. So it gets to be a lot, right? It gets to be a lot. And a lot of us get really good at shutting it off with Doctors Beam and Daniels and, So we get very good at using the wrong stuff to shut it off. And that isolation becomes easier and easier and easier. And it almost it starts to feel like a security blanket. In that isolation, we don't realize what it's doing to us.
But you're holding on to it because it's familiar.
Right.
It becomes very familiar
Right.
to you, and so there's a challenge, a real difficulty in changing it, especially if you're alone and not connected. So let's talk about that. Together with Veterans is what we're talking about, which you were around when it first formed in Greene County, right?
Right.
And you, in your article, you mentioned that it was a humble beginning.
It was very humble.
Or especially with one of the programs of Together with Veterans is Coffee with Veterans, right? Or Veterans.
Right.
Yeah.
Coffee with Veterans.
Coffee with Veterans. So what is Coffee with Veterans, and tell us how that started.
That started by some other folks who were involved in this in the beginning, and they tried to get that up and running. It was literally folks going out and putting up a sign that was just like, hey, veterans, coffee, here. And It might have been at McDonald's, or it might have been at the Mount Morris truck stop. But, that was the very humble beginning. And then we are like, okay, we're going to put some more effort behind it. This is what we're going to focus on. We think this can be our thing. And I kept repeating the old Kevin Costner line, right? Like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, okay.
I felt like they were trying to prove me wrong a lot, whoever they were. They were trying to prove me wrong at the beginning of it, I think. So we ended up advertising, setting things up for EQT for one of our events out there, thinking, hey, EQT, it's a big, shiny place. People come in. We got one veteran.
One veteran. Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. And I think that poor guy was really wondering what he got himself into, I think. So it started like that, but we did stick to that idea that one thing that I love about that Together with Veterans group that we have, and it's made up of, we have to have veteran majority on the steering committee, but it is made up of veterans, and it's made up of folks from the mental health office, and it's made up of Pam, from here at Direct Results.
Pam, yeah.
And those folks are very easy to convince or get them to go along with the idea that let's commit to this for X amount of time and see if we have any success.
Right.
And we did that with Coffee with Veterans, and it just started to grow. And then we had some places that would bring a little bit more of a crowd. The college is always, Waynesburg University is always great for bringing a crowd up there.
It moves around, right?
It does move around,
Is
right.
it like monthly or?
It's It's a very good question.
Yeah.
It is monthly. It's the second Saturday of
Okay,
every month
second
from
Saturday.
8 to 10. So those are the static details. The thing is that it moves around very much like Where's Waldo or whatever. We try to get out to different places in the county so that we can engage different veterans that maybe aren't coming out. So one of the places that we added this year as a new stop is the Nemacolin Fire Department. We'll be visiting there in the spring this year and give us an opportunity to engage with some of those veterans. And we also want to attract veterans from, just lines on a map are just lines on a map, right? So if we can attract some of the veterans from Fredericktown and neighboring communities.
That's still our region. That's our
right.
Our
yeah, we want to
community,
bring them in. We want to bring them in as well.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what's the age group of the veterans that you get at these things? I mean, you find a wide range, or is it a specific era?
I'm smiling a little bit. I'm laughing a little bit because I think that some of the guys there still call me the young guy. We have had veterans from World War II attend coffee with veterans when we were at the Glass House in Greensboro. We had a World War II vet there. And then we have had, they're not actually veterans, but we've had as young as the Jefferson Morgan or the Albert Gatlin Junior ROTC, which will be moving to the Career and Tech Center here in Greene County to start their Junior ROTC program. And that's a really cool thing to see because you get to see some of those young kids interacting with vets like maybe me from the Global War on Terrorism era, maybe even a couple who are younger than me. But then you also get to see them interact with the Vietnam veterans. We still have a few of them that we draw out. And what's been really cool is watching those veterans get used to it. Like, hey, see you next month.
Yeah.
It's given them something to look for, and it's taking care of that connectivity thing that we're looking to do.
There you go.
It's like a self-licking lollipop.
Right.
Never heard that one
Never
before.
did either.
Well, yeah, see, and that sounds like that's exactly what's needed is that how'd you say that, connectivity?
Connectivity, connectedness,
Okay, yeah, connected. Yeah. Which is addressing that isolation that you mentioned earlier, right?
Right.
And so what other there's other services too that are available through the Together with Vets, or you mentioned earlier the
Melissa working with the county's Office of Mental Health, and also with Team Hope, another organization very much aimed at suicide prevention, but they're aimed more at the college and high school age. We've been able to fuse relationships with Team Hope and with Melissa and the people at the Office of Mental Health. And we've been able to do things like family game nights that we're planning at the Way, so we can reach out to engage maybe a little bit more. We've screened at the Way a movie called Hell or High Seas, which is a movie about a veteran's struggle with PTSD and suicide. Suicidal ideations, et cetera.
So these are examples of the type of things that are offered.
That type of outreach that we do outside of just the coffee event.
Right, outside of the coffee. So somebody that's listening to this that wasn't aware, how do they find out? I mean, I know it's advertised, this and that, but do we call the Veteran Affairs Office?
You can call the Veterans Affairs Office, 852-5275, if I'm not mistaken.
That's good.
You can check in with them. You can check our Facebook page. Look for Together with Veterans Greene County, and we're on Facebook. And we've got some billboards that we've put up with Pam's assistance through Waynesburg. And I think maybe the GreeneScene is running the schedule or has run the schedule in there. I know recently.
in the most recent issue there is a list also of all the numbers and everything, and so yes, it's not hard to find.
Right.
So it sounds like you have great community buy-in at this point.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole area.
We do. One of the coolest things that's happened is that we've been chased down by people to host. And I say chased down, I'm kind of joking a little bit. I'm kind of thinking back on that situation a little bit. I'm terrible with returning phone calls. I don't know if it's an anxiety thing or whatever it is, but Katie Baker from Blueprints, I think she was going to put my picture on a milk carton at one point to try to get a hold of me. And Lions Club, same way. And to have the community reaching out to us
Yes.
To want to, it shows us that the community sees that something's good happening there too.
Right.
We're not living in, it's not a snow globe effect, right? There are people on the outside going, hey, there's something good there.
I want to help
happening.
this. I want to make this happen.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
You know, I mentioned the glass plant. That, you know, I don't know if you all know Sherry Garlick, who runs the glass plant, but she was down there hoofing it by herself that day, and then had help come in from kids in the community. I thought, what a great story that is.
Yeah.
You know, just, you know, here's this teacher down here putting this thing on. She'd approached me because she wanted to have it down there. We were looking for a way to get into that area. It worked out. And then she has kids, you know, teenage kids from the community who are coming over to help. It's a great story.
That is good.
Yeah.
That's super. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the Greene County community is really behind it, and that is so important. That's necessary. But you know what else? It makes me think that they recognize a need. I mean, here, let's talk about, we understand the stats about the national, you know, but why do we need this specifically in Greene County?
I might have an example that, believe it or not, is a story.
Okay.
I'm very Ronald Reagan-like in that aspect. I always have to answer questions with a story. But Rough Creek store, one night a few winters ago, I'm there, and someone else who was pumping gas just happened to see my Purple Heart license plate on my car, came over and started talking to me, and eventually that guy was a Desert Storm vet. We eventually got to the point where I realized that, where he admitted that he had some suicidal ideations because of that experience in Operation Desert Storm. So that night, just because I was involved in Together with Veterans, I was able to give him my keychain that had the Veterans Crisis Line number on it at that time, before it went to 988+1 like it is now. I was able to give him that, to give him someone to talk to. And I told him, I'm like, hey, look, you can call them up and chat with them. You can chat with them electronically, whatever it is you need to do. But the reason that I use that story to kind of say why it's important is because how many other guys and gals like that in our community,
Right.
especially in the remote edges of our community, are suffering in kind of the same way. I don't know what led that guy to come to me. You know, my license plate happened to draw him over to me that night.
Yeah.
And I know that he did not come over there wanting to talk about suicide.
No, but he found a source where he could.
But we found a way that we could talk about it, make it a little bit normal, let him know that a lot of people go through the same thing that he's going through.
Yeah.
Now, you know, did I ever run into that guy again? No. I haven't looked him up either, you know, but I know that when I left at that point, he had more information than he had when he came to Rough Creek store that night, and he had more lifelines to reach out to at that point.
And like you mentioned earlier, and I think it's just one is too many.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't need to know how many people are in that crisis here. One is too many.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. You know, we've really enjoyed having you here, Chris, and this is a very important thing. And I just encourage all of our listeners to look up the information. If you not only if you're in need, but if you want to support in some way, like you said, people are tracking you down to help this happen.
Right.
And it sounds like fun anyway. The coffee thing, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
So families are welcome to that sort of thing.
It is wide open to family. We believe that veteran support is you know, not a single layer. It has to reach out to families. There's got to be ripple effects of that. So we encourage anyone from the community. We try to have even resources from the community. Vet Center in Wheeling, Vet Center in Morgantown are usually represented here. That's a place where veterans can go for mental health treatment. Right. So we try to have that kind of stuff available too. And I often tell people as a veteran service officer, if I'll run into guys and gals and they'll be like, I don't think I need to file with the VA for anything. Let's talk to your spouse.
Yeah.
Let's see what your spouse thinks.
Good.
And that's why we really encourage family, friends.
Well, family plays the part too. They're affected.
They're right. They absolutely deploy right along with us.
Well, we're gonna kind of wrap up this, Chris. But I wanted to. Bret likes to play games. You heard that earlier. We were talking about if there's not a sport involved in something, he's not going to be there. But anyway, we've started a new little segment to our podcast called the Lightning Round.
Okay.
And again, we appreciate you. We encourage people to look up your number, your contact information, which I think we'll probably have available on the podcast website.
Please.
And so,
and if nothing else, Call the county's Veterans County Office of Veterans Affairs.
Right, good.
Because they volunteered me for this, so I'm okay with volunteering them for taking
Okay,
calls.
all right, there you're going to get them back.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's right. We're going to get you right now. But before we get to that, we're going to take a short break. But I ask you guys all stay tuned for the lightning round coming up with Chris Clark. Looking for the perfect venue that's as unforgettable as your event? Step into timeless elegance at the Denny House in downtown Waynesburg. From weddings and holiday parties to showers, corporate events, the Denny House offers a truly Victorian experience. With on-site catering, a fully stocked bar, flexible rates, and overnight accommodations for up to 12 guests. Host your next celebration, surrounded by stunning, historic charm. Visit DennyHouseWBG.com to book your event today. That's DennyHouseWBG.com.
Well, Chris, before we do this, I just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And tell you that we've really enjoyed you today, and you've been a great guest. And now we're going to punish you by asking you 5 silly questions.
It's worth it for the opportunity to be here to get the word out. I appreciate that. So it's worth it.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Name a business location in Greene County with a green logo.
Direct results.
Direct results. That's a good answer.
I'd say that's a great answer.
All right. Question number 2. What is the best place to get breakfast in our area? What's your favorite place? Let's put it that way.
For breakfast. I'm pretty partial to the.
Sherry's laughing over there.
I'm pretty partial to the ice plant. I think I've called it 3 different names during this podcast, but I think I'm very partial to it. I really liked it a lot. I'm not a big breakfast eater, unfortunately.
Well, then maybe question number 3 works. The best dessert or sweet business location in the county.
I've got to have a throwback to Scott's Delight, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Scott's Delight was
Scott's
right next to
Delight.
the Armory on Washington Street. So, I solved a lot of hangovers with butterscotch milkshakes from Scott's Delight.
Oh,
so,
boy.
Yeah, we can allow a flashback on that
Cool.
one. That's
Yeah.
good. That's great. What is your favorite pizza place in Greene County?
it's pretty cose to right here, Scotty's.
Scotty's,
Yeah.
right across the lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I got to tell you, Casa Capri's right there with them. I love Frankie too.
They are great too.
Yep.
And the final one, since your wife is here in the audience, what would you say is the best place in Greene County to take a Valentine's date?
Well,
since
thanks a lot.
Valentine's coming up.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
No pressure. No pressure at all.
If the weather's here, watch how well
There's a big if in front of this.
watch
one.
how well I weave this together, right? If the weather's right, maybe a picnic, right? Maybe a little picnic, and we can maybe even do that at the Veterans Memorial Park in Greene County.
Oh, boy.
well done. Well
he's
done.
good.
See what I did there?
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, very well done.
But I think at this point, if we could just hang out in the park up around the college a little bit for a few minutes.
He's wanting you to go parking with him. That's what it sounds like. Oh, folks, we've had a good time here, and we've talked about some really important issues. So once again, thank you, Chris, for being here and for doing what you do, and all of those who work with you to do it. Much appreciation for a much needed service. And I'm glad we were able to talk about it here. Folks listening out there, we thank you for tuning in. And be sure to tune in again for the next GreeneScene Podcast.